All right. All right, ladies and gents, students, I am here with a gentleman that I met, actually, Captain Zach, we met many years ago already, which is crazy.
Oh, it's a decade plus.
Yeah, but this is Zach Waickman coming from Loyola University, and I'm so excited for us to talk today, Zach. Thanks for your time, just about your career and your path into where you're going, because I love how it overlaps with environmental and engineering, and you start in communication, so your story is really great, and I think it's going to be inspiring and insightful for our students. So thanks so much for being willing to do this with me today. I owe you, brother.
No, my pleasure. Anytime you reach out, I jump at the opportunity. It's always so much fun.
All right. Well, thanks, brother. All right. So first of all, Zach, could you kind of tell us about what your official job title is? And from there, I think we'd love to get into kind of like, what does a day in the life of Zach look like?
Sure. So my official job title is I am the Biodiesel Lab Manager for the School of Environmental Sustainability at Loyola University, Chicago. What does that mean? I run a hands-on teaching lab where undergraduate students, so college students, get hands-on running a small chemical manufacturing business, doing research, outreach projects, making new products out of wackadoo things. Really, it's an exciting kind of fun place to live.
I love it. So on the daily, I know we were kind of talking previously, things with COVID have currently changed, but when a student comes at Loyola and that, they could learn how to literally make biodiesel out of like old French fry grease, or they could turn the byproducts into things like soap. So are they looking for ways to stretch something into other things?
Yes, any and all of the above. So we started our program back in 2007, and that was when I was an undergraduate student at Loyola. So I actually took the very first class on biodiesel at Loyola, and then I really just planted, and I just haven't left ever since. But when a student comes in, there's a bunch of different ways to get involved. We've got our primary processes and products that we run all the time. We take used cooking oil from cafeterias at Loyola, but then beyond Loyola as well. We collect used cooking oil from all of the universities and all the museums in the Chicagoland area, and all of that nasty, chunky, grimy used cooking oil comes to me. I'm so lucky. And that's what we process into biodiesel. That's a direct replacement for petroleum diesel fuel. So it goes right into buses, is mostly what it's running. Throughout that process, we generate a number of byproducts. And so our other processes that we run are aiming at taking those byproducts and turning them into something else that's useful. And we want to keep that use as local as possible. I mean, as hyper local as possible. If we can reuse it in our lab, we win, right? And then we look at how can we turn it into a product we need on our college campus. Beyond that, how can we use it in the community? We want to keep everything right here. So you nailed kind of a couple of our big ones. We make biodiesel. We make soap. Soap is made from glycerin, which is our primary chemical byproduct. But then students are also doing really cool research looking at how can we send any and all of our byproducts to their best and highest use. So when we look at something, we might have a decent use for it, and it's got a good place to go. An example would be our glycerin. If we can't use it, we send it off to a cement kiln. So this is where they're going to be making cement. It's an incredibly energy intensive process. And the glycerin byproduct actually has a really high BTU value. It's got a lot of energy in it if you burn it at the right temperature. The right temperature exists in the cement kiln. So we're able to feed it into a cement kiln, and that offsets their use of natural gas. Okay, so that's pretty good, right? Like that's not a bad way to use it, but as we've continued to develop our soap, that's a better and a higher use, because we're not just burning it for the BTU value, we're turning it into a value add product. And this is something that we can make locally, use locally, right? And now we're not buying industrial soap from somewhere else. We know exactly all of the ingredients that go into our soap. We're not spending energy shipping this stuff all over the place, right? So we can keep moving our byproducts to better and higher uses. Or we can look at something that's kind of new or novel that we haven't been able to deal with before. During the biodiesel production process, we use a little bit of the world's most magical substance. Do you know what that is?
So, potassium hydroxide? I don't know.
Water.
Oh.
Water is the world's most magical substance.
Wow, I blew it.
Spot there. It's right. I mean, it's got positive charge and a negative charge, right? It's got dual polarity, bro. This is important, and it has the right density for us. We can spray it in at the top of a biodiesel tank, and because it's more dense than biodiesel, it sinks to the bottom. The dual polarity is like a little magnet, and it attracts contaminants and drags them out of our fuel. So it's a great, easy way to clean our fuel. But now we've got water, right, with a bunch of contaminants. Right, the word contaminants really just means we don't want it over here, but it could be useful over here, right? So now we want to look at how can we turn those contaminants into something useful. Those contaminants are, a lot of it's like soap particles and things. And if you can break those soaps down, now you've got some basic elements, right? Depending on the acids that we use to break that down, we can end up with nitrogen and potassium and phosphorus in water. Well, now we got nutrient water, right? So now we can turn it into fertilizers, or what we're doing and experimenting with is we can grow algae with it. The algae are able to utilize those nutrients really quickly. They grow exponentially fast. We can harvest the algae, take it out of the water. Now we've got clean water. It's not drinking water, but we can reuse it in our process. And we take that algae and we combine it with a super secret ingredient, which is dried potato flakes. And it makes an incredibly balanced fish food.
Wow.
And then pelletize it and feed it to the fish in our aquaponics system in the lobby of my building right over there. So now the nutrients stay here, the water stays here, we're feeding it to the fish byproduct then goes to fertilize plants and grow food. There's just, right, when we get into this systems thinking, this is what we try to deliver to the students, right? So this is how students get involved in the program through classes and volunteering, through on-campus jobs, through research fellowships. There's a whole bunch of different pathways to get involved with the biodiesel program at Loyola. And we really want to empower the students to take ownership of this program and of the things that we're doing, and to have that, right, that confidence and that systems thinking to not only apply it to problems in our lab. You know, some of our students go into the biodiesel industry, but not most, right? We want to apply that systems thinking to whatever you get involved in, right? You go into business or education or research. I mean, whatever you're going to go into, you can put really, really creative problem solving and systems thinking into something. And, you know, from our point of view, we want that to make a really positive impact on the environment.
I love it. I love it. And I think all the things you talked about, we got problem solving, engineering, environmental awareness. Forgive me the term, sustainability or recycling. I don't know what the term is. You were talking about systems and that, but I agreed. I think the overlap is huge. And hearing you talk about it, obviously through your experiences in that, you've become, you know, quite the guru expert in that and bringing people together. But what I love about this, Zach, and we met years ago, I think you were just maybe not even an undergrad, you were just becoming a grad student maybe when we met. But yeah. you taught me how to make biodiesel, and you made biodiesel hippie chic, baby. Now it's like super cool. I love it. But Zach, I know that you started kind of your path was in communications, and you've always been well-spoken and confident. but could you kind of walk us through that path of how you ended up with Loyola Communications now to where we are years later, making a positive environmental impact with the training that you wouldn't normally think of, like, oh, Zach, biodiesel, yeah, he's a science guy to start with. So could you kind of walk through how that happened and where you are now? That's a really cool story.
Yeah. So everything started when I was an undergraduate at Loyola. I originally came to Loyola. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, and I came here because I was looking for a larger city to get communication and broadcast news experience. I wanted to be a TV news reporter. That was my ditty, back in the day.
Yeah.
And that's where I focused a lot of my undergraduate studies. And then I ended up, the summer between my junior and senior years of college. And I had this great internship with a special projects reporter at a news station in downtown Chicago. And maybe 3 weeks into that internship, I had what can be a really positive outcome of an internship. I realized no way in hell did I want to go into broadcast news. and that's okay. That's part of the value of an internship. I really liked it. I found it very interesting, but learning more about, kind of the day-to-day, I realized it really wasn't for me. It wasn't a good fit, and that's okay. And so going into my senior year of college, I was a little bit adrift. And this opportunity came up for a new course. It was a brand new course that the university was offering called STEP. It's an acronym. It stands for Solutions to Environmental Problems. And the idea was they wanted to bring together faculty for all the different departments and students from all the different departments. And they wanted to hand over a tangible environmental issue that the university was facing and kind of see what happened.
Cool.
Right? Right. Let's mix it up. Let's instead of covering, the topic of economics, let's cover a problem and let's speak to the economics of that problem. And let's speak to the chemistry and the legal aspects that are going to surround this and educational opportunities that come out of it. Let's look at a problem holistically and let's run that as a class. And let's give the students access to a lot of the professionals at the university with the idea that what we're going to do is we're going to build the university's sustainability infrastructure with students, right? With student passion and ideas and creativity. And it was this really, really great, I think, acknowledgement by the faculty that were involved that, yeah, the faculty have years of experience and advanced degrees in, but maybe in a very specific area. But by far the smartest group on campus and the most resourceful and the one that can get the most done are the students.
Yeah.
And it's because there's so many of them, right? And you bring a big enough group and you're going to have all sorts of great ideas and you've got this amazing go power and ability to do things. The students can really accomplish truly amazing things. Give them a little bit of guidance, right? Give them some resources and they can do cool stuff. I love that class. I mean, it was life-changing. I hadn't really, taken a deep dive into any of the traditional sciences since high school. And when I did, I think in high school, I definitely cheated my way through high school chemistry. Sorry guys, the truth is what it is. And I think I got like a C+, which is just really sad because I feel like if you cheat, you should get a better grade.
You're a bad cheater.
Either I was bad at cheating, that's probably the lesson I should walk away with. It's a terrible idea. Plus, you don't learn it. What I came to learn later was that my science learning style did not line up with my high school science teacher's teaching style. Again, that's okay. It takes time. It's hard to realize that. I wanted to be problem driven. And so when I was in that class and we were given a problem, and my teachers let me kind of, kind of just charge ahead and try and solve it and run into a brick wall, and then come back to them asking questions. And little by little, they could teach me more, right? Because every time I came back, and then I was hungry for it, right? I really want, because I hit that problem, I hit that wall, and I wanted to push past it. And I just went deeper and deeper and deeper into the science. And I never thought that I would do that. I liked all the aspects of the class too. I liked how, how we were approaching this problem. And so I went from being a student in that first class to interning for kind of the second class. I was kind of like the teaching assistant or intern. And then we hit a perfect storm. I got really lucky that at the end of my collegiate, career, we got an opportunity to present to our board of trustees, and a generous benefactor stepped up and kind of saw what we had going, and saw that what we were kind of proposing was this self-funding education model, because we had written a business plan. And we said, well, with a little bit of startup and a little bit of help, we've got this really cool education program that we can run, and it can pay for itself. It can pay students to work here, and it can pay for a really great lab, and it can pay for this really rich experience, but we just need to get up and off the ground. Mm. And he supported that. And we also had a grant, and we had some nice publicity. And so I got hired out of undergrad to kind of see if we could turn this class project into a bigger program. And we did. And then years later, I went back to get my master's. My master's is in business and entrepreneurship, because that's the aspect I thought was kind of missing from our environmental sustainability work. And I think it was a big piece of what got us up and off the ground was the kind of the small business aspect of this. But along the way, I think I just had this open mind and realization that I had access to really great resources. I'm at a university. If I have a chemistry question, I have a chemistry department. I can go ask them, right? And if I have an engineering problem, there's engineers that work at the university. You don't need to know everything yourself. You need to, be self-aware, understand where your strengths are, and understand the resources that you have access to. And I think that's where my communication kind of background and skills came back in, was putting the pieces together, leveraging the resources that we had, and all the while, right, not losing that drive and hunger for that deeper knowledge, and just going further and further into this, because now we were chasing this big goal. Not only did we want to have this really great education program, but we set this long-term goal for ourselves that we'll chase forever, which is to be a zero waste facility. Everything that comes in the door needs to be used and turned into, right, that best and highest use. And so, we're starting with our byproducts from the process, but we go deeper and deeper. We're a certified green business with the Illinois Green Business Association, and that process helps us go through absolutely everything, from the lighting that we use to the process of washing our floor. It can get really detailed, right? And our policies go that deep. I can't stand there and hose off my floor because that's a waste of water. I get a bucket of water, and that's a lot more, right? That's a better way to go about doing this. It's a lot more conscious of the resources. And so a lot of those results are really cool. Some of them are sad. I used to really enjoy writing grants by lava light. I had 2 lava lamps on my desk, and I felt like that really got the creative juices flowing for grant writing, until we did an energy audit. And when your lava lamps show up on an energy audit, you realize it's time to retire those things. Because it's just a super energy inefficient incandescent light bulb that gets super hot and that makes your lava light go. But it's, it's those things that, that keep you going, that let you, right, explore new and interesting things, and let me kind of hopefully light that same fire and that same passion in more students.
Zach, that was great. I think you intertwined too, not just your story, but a lot of important messages about, like lifelong learning, that you continue to learn, and that power of communicating and networking and solving problems. Sometimes I think we think we're in a room alone in our job, but most jobs you really do collaborate with others. Even if you're not physically in the same room, you reach out to others who have different strengths than you in that. So I think that was a great way to kind of bring it all together, and you're doing some really cool things. And I've really enjoyed over the years seeing all the things and your growth in the program, and that it really is impressive. I was just starting off in teaching when we met in that, and so much has changed. In fact, you gave us the opportunity to run our own little biodiesel lab in that. And when that kind of fell through in that, you guys were great in finding us another school that could use it so that it wouldn't go to waste in that. So I think that mentality of being more efficient and conservation is super important too. So I really appreciate all the work that you do. With that being said, in that, we've heard your story, we've kind of heard more about your job in that, and I want to respect your time. Is there any suggestions, tips, life hacks in general that you just wanted to highlight or mention to our high school audience here as they're slowly starting to think about the next steps, whether it's a job, learning a trade, going to college? Is there anything that you think is just good advice to know about as they kind of move forward in life?
Yeah, I think you were already kind of touching on this, that it's that networking and communication and talking to people. We don't exist in a bubble. And when someone comes and asks you, what do you want to do with your life? You can't answer that. That's so hard, right? What do you want to do in college? I don't know. I've never been to college. I don't know what it's like. Those are really hard things. Maybe those are just things that really annoyed me. But I think, something that I tell, students as they're arriving at the university and as they're preparing to leave the university is go talk to interesting people. Right. And this is kind of the series of videos that you've been doing. I think it's amazing. I've watched a few of them. I want to be an aerospace engineer.
Yeah. Someone should have told me about that job in high school.
But it's, go find interesting people, and it could be a family friend or, your buddy's uncle. I don't know, but when you hear about something interesting, go talk to that person. And just like this conversation of, hey man, it sounds like you had a really cool job. How the heck did you get there? And tell me a little bit of your story. And then when you get to college, try it out, go check it out and say, hey, maybe I'm going to try that. And, that engineering class. And after you take that class, you might walk out and go, that was a bad idea. And that's okay, right? That's the idea, is to float around and explore. That's what I've always enjoyed. And I like to do things, in my job and in my personal life that allow me to continue to explore different experiences and explore the world. And you do that, I think, by talking to people and learning from other folks and having those shared experiences so that you can make more informed decisions and your worldview opens up wider. I think it's helpful overall. Let's all talk to each other and we can figure it out.
Well said, Zach. I really appreciate your time, and I love the message. And thanks for opening us up to a different career type and avenue. And I think that was a good plug too for Loyola, and that they're very environmentally, aware and trying to continuously get better and better, which I think is a great example being set by a university. And with that being said, we just really appreciate your time and wanted to officially thank you. Thank you, Zach.
Thank you. This is great.